So this article was written in 2015, and they believed that Andrew Wiggins would be the second best player in the NBA at this point. I mean, he's only 24. I guess it would have made sense based on his first season. Let's read some of this. Wiggins is well on his way to becoming the NBA's third unanimous Rookie of the Year choice since 2011. Oh yeah, he won Rookie of the Year, right? I don't know if anybody cares at this point, but like, kudos to Wiggins for that one. Over his last 20 games, Wiggins has averaged 20 points, 43% shooting, 5 rebounds, and 8 free throw attempts. I feel like if this was written in 2020, this would have been true shooting percentage. I feel like at some point we just stopped using field goal percentage, basically. Yeah, I mean, this has been the Wiggins thing for a while. It's like, well, there's this stretch of games where he's amazing and he doesn't just take bad mid-range jump shots and whatever else. But look at this. Remember these names? His production hasn't slipped one bit since Ricky Rubio, Kevin Martin, and Nikola Pekovic came back into the fold. Remember Nikola Pekovic? The dude was like 300 pounds. And that's not even a joke. He was legitimately that heavy. And now we have a scout saying his biggest thing was his motor and how bad he wanted it. But I feel like he'll start to explode in the next year or two because he's already starting to put up numbers now. So I see him as a guy that's just going to take off and explode. I mean, Wiggins did get better. Like his third year, I believe he averaged 24 a game on, I think it might have been like 55% true shooting, which is pretty good. And it seemed like his game was starting to just be a little bit more about attacking the basket and stuff. And then the next 2 seasons happened, and now we are where we are with Wiggins, and of course he's not in Minnesota anymore. It is wild to think about, though, just how normal of a case this was, because Wiggins was such a big deal when he was selected. I mean, we saw the athleticism, and yeah, there were questions about, well, can he improve the handle and the shot and everything, but people were really confident that he was going to be awesome. But, you know, this thing here, the motor, has definitely been a common thing for Wiggins. Now we can go from the rest of the list down, and we can start at number 20. So let's see, Jalen Brown. A couple things. Is that what Jalen Brown looked like in college? I assume so. This is very high praise, because I'm pretty sure Jalen had just, I mean, he hadn't been in the league yet. He would have been in a Celtics jersey here, so not even selected, and they already had him at number 20. I mean, is it insane to believe that Jalen Brown could be the 20th best player in the NBA in a year or two? I mean, it's, if you bet on it, you're probably saying no, but it's not insane. You're being a little, like 2% hot takey, but it's not crazy. The idea of him in Philly, it terrifies me. He has all the tools to be a tremendous pro, NBA wing, 6'7", 220, can create offense off the dribble. Well, that ended up not being as much of a thing until this season. His jumper could use some work. Yeah, he took some strides there. It is pretty wild. Like, he's got a good handle. He's a guy who can take the ball to the rack. And based on his first 2 seasons, it was, oh my God, Jalen, can you even put 3 dribble moves together? The likes of Kevin Durant, Paul George, and Giannis as the league's preeminent wing. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Jalen's very good. He averaged 20 a game this year. He got a lot better, creating more of his offense, all that stuff. And I'm very happy that he's not in Philadelphia. Well, here we go. Here's the first, I mean, I guess Wiggins in a way, but this is the first technical, like, good lord, what happened moment of this. Dragan Bender. Not even in the NBA right now. Here's the thing with Bender. He can shoot an open 3. That's it. He's way too small to exist around the basket. He gets pushed around when he's driving. He gets pushed around on defense. Sometimes just looks uncoordinated. They're not all winners, man. Let's see what they want to say about him, what they did say about him. The natural nickname, the Dragon Bender. Was it ever a nickname for him? I don't think it was. I don't remember anyone ever calling him that. That is pretty good. A 6'11" build, solid jump shot, a strong feel for the game, good footwork in the low post, and a natural ability to deliver pinpoint passes. Here's the thing, even after seeing him fail in the NBA, I still don't think any of this is necessarily wrong. Like, he's a skilled player. He needs time to mature physically and fill out his thin frame. Yeah, that's been a big problem with him. This just goes to show you how crazy the draft can be, man. Like, if you looked at this article 5 years ago, whenever it was written, you'd be like, okay, fine, like, it's a little daring, but okay. And now it's just like, No, you were completely wrong. Like, I don't know if it was possible for you to be more wrong, and that's nothing against making that type of a take. We've all got these type of takes when it comes to the draft, you know? He's going to be a future star. He's going to be one of those guys. He'll be the #1 pick. He's that good. He's a talent. I mean, there you go. We're going to move on. Well, here's another one. Jahlil Okafor. I mean, at least with Okafor, there was one season where, I mean, he still wasn't that good, but he put up 17 a game for what it's worth. It's not far-fetched to suggest Okafor is already the NBA's most deft low-post scorer. That's actually a fair point. I mean, well, here's the thing. Like, Okafor, from right when he showed up, he had the hook shots and the moves and all that, but he wasn't an effective post player. Like, his post-ups, his points per post-up and all that were not good. So he wasn't effectively a good post-up player, but he was aesthetically a good one, I guess. It's just, I mean, it just kind of goes to show you, like, how quickly the league just flipped into being perimeter-oriented, and if you can't defend a pick and roll, then you just kind of can't play. Now, I still think Okafor could have a decently long career, even if it's as a third-string big guy, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Okafor found his way into like an Enes Kanter type of role for a team, but even then I think he's going to have to make more strides as a rebounder. This is another thing, and if he improves his conditioning and improves defensively, he'll be an elite big man. Well, to give him credit, he has improved his conditioning quite a bit. If you look at him now, he looks a lot slimmer than his Philly days. Next up, DeAndre Jordan. How old is DeAndre Jordan right now? 31. That's a daring pick. To say a center with no offensive moves at 31 would be a top 20 player. Now, DeAndre has he never gets hurt or very rarely gets hurt, so that could be part of it. Why is Will Chamberlain showing up here? Like Chamberlain in his day, Jordan is arguably the best athlete at his position. Was he? Yeah, in 2015 when we're talking about the center spot. Yeah, probably. I still don't know why Wilt is here, but okay. You'd be fortunate to find any player at any position who combines size 6'11", 250, and strong hands quite like DJ. Yeah, I think they're overrating DeAndre Jordan a little bit. I don't think his game was ever as good as his athleticism. I think there was always, he had 1 year defensively where he was perhaps as good as advertised, but most of the time DeAndre Jordan was inconsistent, and the lack of an offensive game kind of held down his overall values. I don't, even thinking back, 5 years ago, not knowing anything, like really, you thought this? I don't know, man. John Wall at 16, yeah, that sounds like a fair pick. I mean, John Wall healthy right now is probably one of the 16 best players in the league, so yeah, you can't foresee injuries, so I think this is a solid pick that has pretty much been true. Here's another field goal percentage, 45%. Can we go back in time and just redo all these? Because field goal percentage, just a bad stat. Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't take into account free throws or any of that stuff. Like, it's just a dumb stat, but we didn't know that 5 years ago. Ooh, Bradley Beal. Now, this one, what did Beal average? And that was a pretty good pick, because it would not have been obvious at that time to say that Beal would be as good as he has become, 30 a game and all that stuff. Although, we should say Beal's effectiveness will be tightly intertwined. Is that redundant? I feel like that's a little bit of redundant English. I'm not the journalist, I shouldn't be saying anything. With playing alongside Wall. Well, even then, Beal just had his best season and no John Wall in sight. Then again, they lost a crap ton of games, so in a way, you're still kind of right. Andre Drummond at 14. All right, you know what? They're not all wins. Why is he in a Knicks jersey? I don't know. I mean, it hasn't gone great for the Knicks, but at least they didn't give Andre Drummond that type of a contract. Although they did give Joakim Noah that type of contract. So, you know what? It's whatever. Drummond is already enjoying the benefits of playing for a competent coach and a quality Pistons club, albeit one whose record remains skewed by a 5-23. Wait, what? The Pistons were 5-23 at one point? I remember the Josh Smith thing was bad. I didn't remember them being that bad. They were 5-23 just to open up a year? Oh, wow. So let's see. Best case prediction. Drummond becomes a passable free throw shooter. He's up to the 60s. They got that one right. And an effective low post operator. That never really happened. To complement His abilities as a rebounder and pick-and-roll finisher. They don't really mention his defense too much. Yeah, Drummond, it just never really happened. He puts up some numbers and he can have big games, but the post skills, the defense, the overall leadership, sometimes it doesn't click. He's still a good player, but what are you going to do? KarlAnthony Towns, number 13. I do remember there was a bit of a conversation between Towns and Okafor, where Okafor excels as a below-the-rim offensive fulcrum. Towns butters his bread with strength and athleticism on the defensive end. Well, you know what? That has not come to be. We're still having that conversation if Towns can be good on defense. Here's something, and has flashed a jumper that figures to be a real asset for his game going forward. That is an understatement. KarlAnthony Towns is one of the best shooters in the NBA, regardless of position. So, yeah, I mean, if you were all in on Towns over Okafor, you were certainly right on that one. Klay Thompson, number 12. Okay. Can I have a little tiny spicy take? Which Klay doesn't deserve, because whatever, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay, don't tell anybody. I think Klay Thompson's like 3% overrated. Okay? He's still really good, and he deserves all the money he's getting paid. But, he's been, the third or fourth best player on Golden State's entire run, depending on how you feel about Draymond. He's still really good, don't get me wrong. It's just, I've already gotten myself in enough trouble with this one. Okay, Giannis at number 11. There are mere glimpses of basketball's future, albeit ones tantalizing enough to peg him at what's next at a position that could thin considerably by 2020 with LeBron James due to be in his mid-30s. Were we really, in 2015, we thought that LeBron wasn't a robot? Did we think that he wasn't still going to be... I mean, I think he's still better than Giannis, even if Giannis is the MVP. But for the sake of the consensus, did we not think LeBron would be a top 2 player 5 years ago? I guess not, man. Yeah, I mean, they got everything right. They just didn't go all the way. Like, they should have just said Giannis will be the best player in the league. Nobody would have agreed, but then you could pull this up later and be like, well, you know what? They were right on that one. But still, going as far as number 11, that's far enough to be like, you guys, you pretty much got it right. James Harden, number 10. So Harden was already in Houston by this time then. Oh, he was already an MVP guy. Quantum leap from All-Star to MVP frontrunner is a whole different deal. 25 years old. Oh, this was the Dwight season. I remember this year. It was like Houston had nobody and Harden carried them to however many wins. Harden would seem hard-pressed to keep leading the NBA in free throw attempts and absorbing the pounding therein as he approaches his 30s. Nope, he still gets fouled like crazy. In fact, he gets fouled even more. Although some would argue he doesn't really get fouled. I mean, we can be honest. There's definitely some ticky-tackness with his fouls, but he does still draw a lot of contact. It is kind of wild how he's been so durable throughout his career with how often he's shooting free throws. Paul George at number 9. Yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, it wouldn't have been insane to suggest PG could be better than Harden. Now, if you said that, you would be wrong. But at the time, with PG and his ascension in Indiana, not insane to believe. Oh, this was after the injury, though. Okay. Yeah, it's something to think about. Like, how good would PG be if he never had the leg injury? Like, how much did that set his career back? If at all, we don't totally know, but he did average like 30 a game last year for OKC before something happened in that round 1 against Portland. They do mention his ball handling, though, with a handle further refined during his time away from the game. Yeah, I think you could say that PG's ball handling never totally got there. I mean, he can beat a guy off the dribble, but he can't beat everybody off the dribble all the time, Now, he's such a good shot maker that it doesn't completely matter, but, Steph Curry at number 8. Did they predict that Steph would just go nuclear and change the game of basketball forever? Oh yeah, remember this one? Curry's ankles stand the test of time. That was a real fear that he wasn't going to be able to play because of those, but between Under Armour. Is he still with Under Armour? I think he is. Maybe he's on Nike now. I don't really remember. But between that and on top of, he has so many like braces on his ankles and stuff. Like he's managed to keep it there. But yeah, based on the language they use, like, you know, he will be there if he holds up, if he can handle the grind. Like they're acknowledging that he'll be very good, but I don't think anybody is acknowledging that he will break the game of basketball. Blake Griffin at number 7. This one hurts a little bit because with Blake it's all health. Like he was so good for the Pistons last year. Well, here's something. He seems to recognize as much as the addition of a reliable mid-range jumper to his game suggests. Yeah, that mid-range ain't doing anything for you in 2020. Again, people did not predict that the league would go so hard into what we are now. Like at this point, if you're a big guy who can shoot a mid-ranger, like who cares, you know what I mean? I mean, maybe if you're a center and you can hit like a 17-footer, okay. But for a power forward, no, man, you better be shooting threes. Yeah, the thing that's rough about this, like, you know, Griffin continues to sharpen his skills and establishes himself as a top-tier power forward capable of running an offense and reliably nailing jumpers out to three-point territory. He's done all of this. You know, like Blake Griffin has done an amazing job of rounding out his game, especially with his athleticism declining, and it doesn't matter because he just can't stay healthy. So, that's rough. I do remember at one time, like Blake Griffin, there was a case that he really was like a top 5 player or something. Kyrie at number 6. I mean, basically everything I just said about Blake, we can kind of say about Kyrie, although number 6, I mean, is it insane to believe a healthy Kyrie Irving is the 6th best player in the NBA or whatever? I mean, they didn't foresee like Joel Embiid and Jokic and Jimmy Butler and whoever else coming on, but even with that, it's like, it's not crazy to say that. See, this is something I said before. Like, I always wanted to see Kyrie just with all the keys to a team. You know, it says, like, he grades out as the league's most efficient high-volume isolation scorer. His 1.09 points per possession on ISOs are the most among players. Yeah, you know how James Harden does everything in Houston? I just would think it would have been cool to see Kyrie do that, and just how far could he have gone with it? I mean, 1.09 points a possession, isn't that like the average value of a 3-point attempt in today's NBA? Russell Westbrook at number 5. Did we argue about Russ so much 5 years ago? Well, this is a little depressing. So long as he's splitting responsibilities with Kevin Durant. Best case prediction, Westbrook earns an MVP of his own. They were right on that one. In turn, he and Durant become the first to win MVPs as contiguous teammates since Kareem and Magic. Well, it didn't totally happen. Because of, you know, this guy. We know what happened. Yeah, I mean, they kind of seemed right on Westbrook. They don't really talk about his efficiency and stuff. But anyway, KD at number 4. The Wizards jersey. Remember that? Remember that time when we thought KD might actually be going to Washington? I don't think he would have been hated if he went to the Wiz. I know that. And didn't the Wizards do some moves in order to hope that he would really come to them? It didn't totally happen. I do remember that my Celtics were the number 2 team behind the Warriors to get Kevin Durant. So that keeps me up at night. Okay, Boogie at number 3. I mean, even with general health, I don't think he ever would have got this high. Yeah, I mean, the benefit of being a big, strong dude who can bully his way to buckets and boards one moment and step back for mid-range jumpers and high post passes the next. Yeah, DeMarcus had the whole package, you know. Post up, he could shoot, he could bring the ball up himself, he could beat you on an ISO in the half court. It's just through a combination of, you know, the team and the front office not being smart and Boogie not always having the best mental side of the game, we can say. And then injuries. That's the thing. Like, if Boogie never got hurt, who's to say he wouldn't become some all-time offensive player, you know? Anthony Davis. Yeah, I do remember AD was the consensus best player if we fast forward a couple of years guy. Which is not crazy. I mean, I don't think he's hit his ceiling just yet. Yeah, they said if the Brow continues to extend his shooting range, which hasn't totally happened, but he didn't really need to, and bulk up his body a little bit while avoiding injury. He's done okay. He's been healthy, 4 years in a row now? I think so, because he had 2 straight years being healthy with the Pelicans. And then he had last year with the whole trade thing, but he never got hurt. And then he had this year, so... yeah, he'll shatter the notion of ceilings altogether. I mean, he's not, unanimously the best player in the league, but he could be in 2 more years, so... it's a fair pick. All of us were saying that AD is going to dominate forever, and, well, some would tell you it's his fault that the Pelicans haven't won. I would tell you that between injuries and not having that good of stuff around him, that was more the problem, but it's okay. He found LeBron. And again, it should be noted, LeBron, nowhere here.